Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Technology Luncheon. Here to begin today's program is the President and CEO of CHCI, Esther Aguilera.
Thank you. Welcome back. Thank you for being here for the Congressional Hispanic Caucus Institute Public Policy Conference and Hispanic Heritage Month events. I want to start by thanking Bank of America for being our conference host. Bank of America invested in our capital campaign for our investing in our future, has been investing in our young people, and investing in making our conference possible. Let's thank Bank of America. Those supporting and sponsoring this luncheon are also tremendous partners with CHCI. That includes Google. Let's thank Google for their support and sponsorship. We have the Kapor Center for Social Impact and Uber, who is our official transportation provider for our Hispanic Heritage Month events. Let's thank them all. Also, before we get started, we've had dynamic policy summits and breakout sessions earlier today, and I really want to thank the panelists and our summit co-chairs for leading the session. We had a session on economic justice and tax policy led by Congresswoman Linda Sanchez from California. Let's thank her and all the panelists for that session. Our health summit was led by Congresswoman Roy Ball Allard. We also had Congresswoman Grace Flores Napolitano. Let's thank her and the panelists. Our higher education summit was led by Congressman Filemon Vela from Texas. Let's thank Filemon and the higher education panel. And our labor panel was hosted by Congressman Ed Pastor from Arizona, and our STEAM, our STEM, Science, Technology, Engineering, Arts, and Math, was led by Congressman Tony Cardenas. Thank you all for participating in all of those policy sessions and all of the rich discussion that will help shape America's future. So thank you again. We gather around the theme of building our future together. And like never before, the growth of the Latino population is reconfiguring our society, economy, democracy, and is building America's future. So as you know, that is not something entirely in the future. It's here today. When 1 out of 4 Americans under 18 is Latino, that future is here today. When Latinos account for 74% of the growth in the labor force, we need to make accounts today. So the Latino agenda must be tied hand in hand with the national agenda, because the future of the United States is tied to the success of this dynamic population. So yesterday, our chairman, Congressman Ruben Hinojosa, continued his call to action. The call to action is about building our future together. It is about moving America forward together, and that needs the Latino population engaged and active and invested in, and a powerful partner in our future together. That call to action, first, is about celebrating our successes and showcasing leaders who are making a difference. We've seen that all week, and we will continue to see and highlight more national leaders. We've had 4 cabinet members and 2 former cabinet members join us, and over 25 members of Congress. People working tirelessly day in and day out and making a big difference. Second, the chairman's call to action, CHCI's call to action, is also about investing in the capacity of youth. And that is CHCI's charge. We're making a profound difference. Our programs are changing life trajectories and opening new pathways to the American dream. Let me tell you about a couple of stories. One is Arnoldo Avalos. He was from the northern part of California, the rural area, worked as a farm worker in the peach trees with his family. And Arnoldo's here. Arnoldo, thank you. He was told by a high school counselor that he should consider coming to this internship program while in high school. So he went from working in the fields to working in the House Agriculture Committee, thanks to the CHCI internship back in, we won't say late 1980s. And Arnoldo went from there to completing college. He worked for Cisco, Google, and Facebook, and now is investing back in community. He started his own foundation and is giving back to the community and CHCI. Let's showcase Arnoldo for his great work. And one of the examples of why we're here and what we're about. Another quick example, Ray Mateo. He was born in the Dominican Republic, came to the United States 10 years old, not knowing any English. His family moved to lived in New York, New Jersey area, some very tough neighborhoods. He stayed focused, went to school. He went from very, very humble beginnings, doing a CHCI internship in the office of then Senator Hillary Rodham Clinton. Today, Ray Mateo is Deputy Attorney General for the state of New Jersey. Thank you. This is why I say that CHCI is about changing life trajectories and opening new pathways to success. The third part of our call to action is that we need to draw attention to what remains to be done. Our families are humble, they're struggling. That is why during this conference, we focused a lot of the sessions on jobs and sectors that are creating jobs. The energy sector, the healthcare sector, and technology. We'll be hearing about technology and entrepreneurship. But this is what our families need to get ahead, a strong education and these job opportunities. The other challenge is, remember, today's unfinished business becomes challenges and things that we pass on for the next generation. So it's up to us. And one of those ongoing challenges is that the Latinos continue to be misrepresented and misunderstood by mainstream America. Even as we celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month, we are rarely seen and often misunderstood. But in fact, Ray Suarez yesterday started out the conference by saying that we really are celebrating 500 years of impact for the Hispanic community. We have been part of the U.S. for over a 500-year history, and we must tell our story. We need to be in those history books. For example, the city of Santa Fe was founded over 500 years ago, and next year we celebrate the 450th anniversary of the founding of San Agustin, Florida, the oldest European settlement in the U.S. And again, these were before Jamestown and before Plymouth Colony. So we need to work on education, the job creations, and setting the record straight about the dynamic contributions and achievements of the Latino community to pave the way forward for the next generation. So We want today's demographics reflected in our history and tell our stories of respect and honoring the contributions of this hardworking community. In closing, one of the mottos for CHCI is that it takes leaders to develop the next generation of leaders, and we cannot do this work without you. I want to thank the CHCI staff, our team who works every day with dedication and passion on all of our programs and putting people together, convening people, as we're doing today. Let's give them a big round of applause. Our esteemed chairman and board of directors, thank you for your vision, lending your talents and support that is helping us grow. To our advisory council that includes some of our strongest stakeholders and advisors, CHCI has tripled in size in the last 6 years. I'm proud to say that 5 years ago, we used to graduate 2 classes, a class of interns and fellows. Today, we're graduating 6 classes. We are reaching 16,000 students with services and 63,000 with our online services. So we couldn't have done that without a terrific staff, our board, and everyone here today that supports what we do. And thank you. And speaking of our mission, we next get to award our Medallion of Excellence for a Distinguished Alumni. Again, a big part of what we're about. So we will, I'd like to ask Luis Cambio, the president of the CHCI Alumni Association, to come to the stage to present the award.
Thank you, Esther. Buenas tardes. As a CHCI intern, scholarship recipient, and public policy fellow, my life and my career have been transformed by CHCI. Over the last 12 years, I've benefited tremendously from the friendship, mentorship, and support of many CHCI alumni, including this afternoon's honoree. I would like to tell you a bit about the award and this year's recipient. The Medallion of Excellence for Distinguished Alumnus recognizes a CHCI alumnus who has made an outstanding contribution to the Latino community and who has thereby achieved distinction. This prestigious annual award is meant to highlight the impact of CHCI programs and the prominence of its alumni. This year's awardee recipient is Henry Fernandez. Henry Fernandez is a great supporter and advocate for CHCI. He has played an integral role not only in the growth of CHCI, but also the strengthening of the CHCI alumni familia, which is now nearly 3,000 members strong. His contributions to CHCI and to the community at large make him a very well-deserving recipient of the CHCI Distinguished Alumnus Award.
Activist, civic leader, educator, Henry Fernandez has fulfilled many roles in his life. As a young boy, Henry saw his family forced to leave Cuba. Watching his father work to support the family, Henry realized that while his family had lost everything, his father's education could not be taken. That realization drove Henry to pursue his own education and later work to ensure the same opportunity for all Americans. While completing his graduate studies, Henry got accepted to the CHCI Fellowship Program. This experience was a major turning point for Henry, exposing him to the policy and advocacy opportunities that existed in education and giving him the confidence to lead. In 1994, he was elected as the Advisory Neighborhood Commissioner for DuPont Circle in Washington, D.C. Henry would replicate this again 10 years later after relocating to Indianapolis when he was elected to the Metropolitan School District of Lawrence Township School Board. He became a very public voice for the Latino community in Indianapolis, promoting a dual-language magnet program and working to obtain in-state tuition rates for undocumented students. His activism did not stop at education. In 2002, Henry's family applied for membership at a nonprofit national health club. Within a week, their membership was revoked on the grounds that Henry, his same-sex partner, and their children did not meet the organization's definition of a family. In response, Henry organized a coalition, and 6 months later the organization revamped the policy to include more diverse families. More recently, Henry has been active in a community effort that successfully defeated a same-sex marriage ban in Indiana. Henry serves on the CHCI Board of Directors as treasurer and has played a leading role in the growth and influence of the CHCI Alumni Association. For his dedication to promoting equality and ensuring that all Americans have the same opportunity to pursue their dreams, Henry Fernandez is awarded the CHCI 2014 Medallion of Excellence for a Distinguished Alumnus.
Damas y caballeros, ladies and gentlemen, we're proud to present the 2014 CHCI Medallion of Excellence for a Distinguished Alumnus to Henry Fernandez.
Wow, great video. I guess my closet door was blown way open tonight in front of a few hundred people. But there's nothing like being affirmative and actually saying it in front of a few hundred people. So if you don't mind, I'd like to say that yes, I do own red pants, and I'm glad my mother is not watching the streaming video because she would be yelling at me for wearing those red pants. Anyway, CHCI helps prepare the next generation of Latino leaders. Leadership means taking people from one place to another, whether physically or on issues. And leadership has certain characteristics that, for example, leaders operate outside their scope of authority, and taking leadership steps is an inherently personally dangerous process. We know folks like the farm worker from California who left the fields to organize a union. We know the preacher in Atlanta who went on to work for civil rights. We know what happened to them, whether they got beat up, put in jail, or ostracized. It's an inherently dangerous activity. When my colleague and I, 12 years ago, when I moved to Indiana, my colleague Jill Kramer and I decided to work on the in-state tuition issue in Indiana. Our employer said, do not talk about the company when you do this. We do not want you involved. Well, Jill and I decided that we would do it on our lunch hour, wink, wink. And we got the job done with the help of other people. So CHCI, I want to thank CHCI, not just for the skills and experience that they gave me during my fellowship many, many years ago, but more importantly for the confidence that I gained in myself to be able to take some leadership steps and to help move people. So thank you to all the sponsors who made that happen from my fellowship experience 25 years ago, and thank you for all the sponsors today who are helping the young people here. Thank you.
Bravo. That's phenomenal. Henry is most deserving recipient of this Distinguished Alumnus Award, and now it is my honor to introduce someone who is a successful entrepreneur, business executive, state cabinet official, and a former member of the CHCI Board of Directors. Through her career in public and private sectors, she has worked tirelessly to promote diversity in the workplace, provide access to capital for small business, and ensure equal opportunity for all Americans. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the 24th Administrator of the Small Business Administration and a member of the President Obama's cabinet, Maria Contreras-Sweet.
Hola, ¿cómo amanecieron? ¿Todos bien? ¿Y están almorzando bien? That's fantastic. Anyway, thank you so much for allowing me to come here and to break bread with you, although they didn't give me bread. But anyway, it's a pleasure to be here with you. I hope you're enjoying your meal. Let me just first and foremost acknowledge the incredible leadership of Congressman Hinojosa, the chairman of the CHCI. Just an incredible human being. Thank you so much for... He has done such an incredible job in leading the CHCI, and it's always nice to have members of Congress who are watching your back. So do thank him for that when you see him. And I also wanted to acknowledge, because Esther just mentioned that before I stepped on the President's cabinet, I was a member of this wonderful, august board of directors here at the CHCI. And I can tell you that Esther is a first-class chief executive officer for the CHCI. Thank you for acknowledging her successes as well. And since we're in the mood, I'm going to ask you for one more acknowledgement, and that is that if you are in this room, you are a winner. So anybody who took the time and effort on this glorious day to be in here to talk about how we can empower our community and better ourselves is a winner. Please acknowledge yourselves. Thank you so much. Thank you. I am proud to be one of 3 members of the President's cabinet that is of Hispanic descent. I was delighted when I came on board to be so well received by Tom Perez, the Secretary of Labor. And then I helped to welcome the first time ever in American history that we have 3 Hispanic members of a president's cabinet with Julian Castro. Thank you. But then we're always making history, aren't we? It's a fantastic thing to be seen. I want to tell you just a little bit about the SBA, because I believe that there's some aspiring entrepreneurs out there. And so I want to make sure that we connect and let you know what we're doing. You heard that I'm the head of the Small Business Administration, but how many of you know what the Small Business Administration is? Muy pocos. And so what I'm here to tell you is that we just very affectionately call it 3 C's and a D. And if you go away with anything, I hope that you remember our 3 C's and a D. The SBA does provide capital. Capital is important when you're contemplating entrepreneurship. Then once you have capital, you say, I want to put that capital to work. And so we provide contracts. When you need contracts, we're there to help make those introductions. And third, to make sure that you don't waste that capital and the opportunity with contracts, we have a vast network of counseling. That's the 3 C's: capital, contracting, counseling. And then you don't want to see the D, but if you're ever in a natural sudden disaster, we come into your communities to provide personal economic relief. So that is what the SBA does. I'm pleased to tell you that the reason I'm so proud to be at the SBA is because today, as we have now experienced 54 consecutive months of job growth, which has never happened before in American history, it has been on the backs of small businesses. Today, 2 out of 3 net new jobs are started by a small business. Today, thank you, half of the private workforce is employed by a small business person. That is what small businesses are doing today. And so I'm proud that we can play such a pivotal role in America's comeback story. I want to share with you just a little bit about what I'm doing at the SBA to reframe it, because you might say, okay, well, it's fantastic. We know that you were Secretary of Transportation in California, and we saw how you deployed big billion-dollar contracts, and that was a lot of fun to be able to get out and to build bridges and to build roads and on-ramps and off-ramps, literal and figuratively speaking. But what was really important was that we were getting jobs out, job opportunities, contract opportunities to small business. Can you hear me okay in the back? Okay, good. And so as we were doing that, what we learned is that some of the contracts that we were letting out were too large for small businesses to benefit from a $3 or $4 billion business. So we learned to debundle that work. And as we debundled that work, people said, well, I don't know when you let out the work. So we knew that we needed to get the word out about contracting opportunities. And then they said, once you give me the contract opportunity, I can't get access to capital. And so I did what any Latina does after she leaves office. I started my own bank. And then, thank you. And then people would say, well, now I want to make sure that I'm doing all this correctly. And so at my bank, what I made sure was that we provided counseling to make sure that we could help people navigate through these initiatives. And so that is why I'm committed to the SBA. So when the president asked me to do 3 things, he said, run an effective SBA, be a voice for America's small businesses, and take small businesses to the next level. I knew that based on my experience and my dream for America, that this was the right place for me. So I made the sacrifice to leave my bank, to leave my granddaughter, and to be here in Washington, D.C. and settle into Virginia. Thank you. But now you might ask, so what difference does a Latina make when she gets in? Why is it important for us to have a voice in cabinet? So let me just share with you that the SBA now has new significance. The SBA now means smart, bold, and accessible. And so I'm delighted to tell you that as we think about it at the SBA, we think about you, how many of you have smartphones with you? Right. And so we want to make sure that as you're advancing in your technology and then you're advancing your homes and making your homes smart, that we at the SBA also think of smart systems to make sure that we're being more efficient and more effective at reaching out to you. So I want to share with you that we just recently launched a new initiative at the SBA, which is what we call a predictive score. So if you have ever been turned down by a loan, what we want to tell you is I hope that you'll go back in, because I have changed underwriting standards that now allow more people to get through, and we put in technology that now allows more people to be more efficient and bankers to get more loans out. When I was going through my confirmation process, Wall Street Journal ran an article and it said the SBA loans through our lending partners, the banks, are not getting out to women, minorities, and especially African Americans. And so I set out to do this work. And I want to tell you that after putting some of these new underwriting standards and this new smart systems, we received another Wall Street article journal that ran, and it said these new systems will now get more women, more minorities, and more African Americans through this system. So I'm glad that we've made a difference already. And I want to tell you, thank you, that when I'm a banker and I like metrics. I want to make sure that the numbers actually hold up. And so when we ran the numbers, already Hispanic American loans are up 105%. We're very proud of that record. Thank you. Now I said that's the smart systems, the bold. Today, you now do business with somebody in New York and Chicago and Los Angeles. And when I went to leading the president's delegation to El Salvador to install the new president of El Salvador, what I saw was that women there, Latinas there, wanted to work with Latinas here. So we launched a global small business development council network so that now we're connecting people with Africa. We're connecting people with Latin America. We're connecting people with Mexico, with Colombia. And all of this is creating the kind of job activity that I mentioned. So it's important for the SBA to be bolder, to make sure that we're creating new markets for small businesses. So the international commerce is one opportunity. A second opportunity is that the U.S. government is the largest procurer in the world, and the SBA directs 23% of that spend to small businesses. We want to make sure that you're getting your part of that action. The other piece is that what you also said to us is government takes too long to pay. How do we get paid? Because we can't get the loans to manage our cash flow. So the president announced a program that he calls Quick Pay, wherein you get paid now in 15 days. Now, for those of you that aren't entrepreneurs, let me tell you, because those who are in business will tell you that when you are stretched out for 120 days, that is a lifetime. And so the fact that we now pay small businesses who do business with the federal government in 15 days is extraordinary. And now we're challenging each of you. How many of you here from corporate America? Any people in the back from corporate America? We have a few. Well, let me just say that we're now challenging the corporate community to do the same thing as we are doing at the government. So we launched a program, the president and I launched a program a couple of months ago at the White House to challenge corporate communities to become also partners with our program to make sure that they're paying small businesses in 15 days. So we're taking bolder actions to create new markets for small business. And the A, about accessibility, we want to make sure that we're available for Latinas, for Latinos, for African Americans, for women, for seniors, and for our veterans to make sure that all Americans are helping in this rebound effort that we all find ourselves in. So let me just share this with you. Martin Luther King, and we are now in the passage, the 50th anniversary of the Civil Rights Passage, Martin Luther King had a very special quote, and he said, "What good is it to be able to sit at an integrated counter if we can't afford to buy the hamburger?" And that's an important point thank you, as we advance on civil rights, and so we must continue to spur and make sure that we are given equal rights. We must also make sure that we're advancing on market rights. And that's why the SBA is so important, because I want to see, when I go back to my Los Angeles, or when I visit Chicago, or when I'm in Miami, that those tall buildings have names like Martinez, Gonzalez, Contreras, Menendez. We've got to make sure that we are building ownership for our community. Ownership will be the key. What good is it to be arguing about immigration, to allow people to come to our country, if we don't have social mobility? And so I want to share my story with you and why this is so personal to me. I came here at the age of 5. I couldn't speak English, and I certainly couldn't speak the language of business. But my grandmother always said, if you bring other people along, life will be good for you in America. And she kept saying to me, someday, although we've been a family of migrant workers, if you work hard, someday you'll be able to work in an office and be a secretary. Well, the good Lord heard her prayers and allowed me to be a Secretary of Transportation and Secretary of Housing, and now to be on the President's Cabinet. But we can only harvest those opportunities if we push this economy forward. You know the numbers today. 1 in 2 in the kindergarten class is Hispanic. That portends what's going to happen for the future. So we must take the reins and accept the new responsibility that is upon us, that is our obligation, to make sure that we keep a steady hand, to make sure that we're leaders for everybody. We're people who are black and white, people who are red and yellow, people who are brown and green, I like to include environmentalists, are all working together, because that's the way America will continue its exceptionalism. Today, people will complain when you travel abroad because you don't speak French or because you didn't pronounce some word correctly on a menu. But I tell you, when any country is in trouble, the first country they call to help them is the United States of America. That is our exceptionalism. And that is the majesty that we must uphold. And it will be through our economic empowerment that we will lead this nation forward. So I want to thank you, and I want to close with John F. Kennedy's words that he passed away soon after I arrived. And he said, "In America, we don't all have equal talent, but in America, we should all be given an equal opportunity to pursue our talent." Let us move forward, allowing people to fulfill their dreams, their passions, and together let us change this country for the betterment of our community. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America. Thank you. Thank you so much.